Welcome once again, everybody. Today is Yesod of Tiferet, bonding in compassion. Have you ever felt a bond so close with another that you actually felt like one combined entity? Or maybe you have a connection that's so deep it defies rationality, a connection with either a child, a parent, a lover, a partner, even a pet? Sometimes an immediate connection can just manifest. And if you ever realized or experienced where you had an immediate connection and then maybe you had others that were not quite such a connection, a strong connection right away, but then sort of developed over time as you got to know each other and learn each other's ways and begin to foster some trust. The bonds that tie us each to the other can radiate a strength of connection that is otherworldly, fostering a great sense of happiness and love. Or they can actually be faulty. The bonds could be so weak that we become fragmented and fractured. We become souls lacking bonds that make compassionate, balanced relations possible. It makes it impossible for that to happen. Today, we will explore the bonds that we create to serve one another, which actually then enables compassion in its highest form. At the end of the session, we'll have a greater understanding of what actually drives us, what makes us, motivated to be bonded to another individual, and then how that feeds our compassion. Because compassion cannot exist without extraordinary bonding. In order for compassion to flow between people at its most complete, a real tight bond needs to be there. It needs to exist. Each must actually feel connected to the other in a way that allows for an open exchange. We must recognize that we have interdependence that makes us actually need each other. For example, we discussed this yesterday. A child needs to be held and nurtured by its parent or caregiver, or it's not going to develop into a healthy adult. Humanity needs connection in order to feel happy and whole. When we're hurting or we're in need, we want others to feel compassion for us. We want to be heard. We want to be cared about. The Dalai Lama is quoted as saying, "The greatest degree of inner tranquility comes from the development of love and compassion. The more we care for the happiness of others, the greater our own sense of well-being becomes. Cultivating close, warm-hearted feelings for others helps remove our fears and our insecurities and gives us the strength to cope with any obstacles that we encounter. Remembering that it isn't just ourselves, but every single one of us actually has to go through some type of suffering, which will increase our determination and our capacity to overcome our troubles. We can strive gradually to become more compassionate. We can develop both genuine sympathy for others' suffering and the will to help remove their pain. As a result, our own serenity and inner strength will increase. We all need love. The reason why love and compassion bring the greatest happiness is simply that our nature cherishes them above all else. The need for love lies at the very foundation of human existence and experience. It results from the profound interdependence we all share with one another. However capable and skillful an individual may be, left alone, he or she will not survive. There are formulas for bonding, not only with others, but with God. There is divinity inside each and every one of us. When we reach to have a relationship with God, or even the godliness inside of us, or the godliness in others, we relate in a higher and more evolved way. Charisma Magazine featured an article on the 5 progressive steps of bonding, which I've actually adapted for our purposes here. They are sacrifice, relational, perceptible, and material bonding, along with power and anointing. When we sacrifice, for example, staying up all night with a baby or a child, taking care of our aging parents or loved ones who are in pain or hurting, we are expressing bonding in Tiferet, bonding in compassion at its highest form. There are all sorts of biblical examples of bonding with God, divinity, and all faiths. Relational bonding, by sacrificing for another, a bond of trust is then developed. The others feel that they can then rely on you. They know you will be there for them in good times and in bad. The child then feels secure. You've done the sacrificing, and now you're doing the relational bonding. The child feels secure. The elderly parent doesn't feel abandoned. They know that you're going to be there for them, or the elderly person that you happen to be taking care of. Ultimately, God wanted a partnership and bonding with us, with humanity as co-creators in this beautiful world that God has given us. God gave us free will and the opportunity to repair our shattered vessels that were shattered at the beginning of time. When we move to perceptible bonding, after going through challenges and trials over a sustained period of time, we then become sensitive to the other's feelings, the other's needs, as if we were one, able to anticipate and give passionately and compassionately what is needed because of the bond that exists. Your powers of perception are then aligned and heightened by the relationship. Even with God or with spirituality, we can connect through dreams, meditation, and divinely inspired ideas. We have access to the God force of the universe through our perceptions, which are gathered through our heightened state of awareness. So think about it. Anything you choose to spend a lot of time on, focusing intently, well, it's going to affect you in an extraordinary way. So where you put your energy ultimately defines you and the relationships that you have with others. So when you have material bonding, resources will become available to us for everything that we need. So have you ever dreamt of accomplishing something or took an insurmountable time on a task that you finally achieved beyond all odds? When tapping into the universal energy that is available to all of us, anything is possible. This energy can support us, carry us through our compassion that needs to be given on a long-term basis, and fuels it with sustenance. Now, power and anointing, the last phase, we have actually been given everything that we need to overcome any challenge and to actually be able to succeed. We have all of it inside of us. We have extraordinary intelligence, we have enormous powers of perception, and we've been given the free will and the drive to accomplish anything that we set our hearts and our minds to. We just need to be focused and acknowledge and accept the gift that we've been given, to share the best of ourselves with others, to be one with humanity at its most vulnerable, with divinity driving us, the divinity that we have within and surrounding us. So let's take a look at all the compassionate giving that's going on during this pandemic. With the bond that has actually grown collectively throughout the world, we've seen we are one humanity, all fighting a war that's dangerous, and we've got a powerful unseen enemy that's actually attacking us. So when we bond together, when we work together as a collective humanity, sharing information, doing what's necessary, and we're compassionate with each other, then we can overcome and defeat this enemy. It is our bond, our compassion, and our commitment to each other, staying safe, following guidelines, working together, and then allowing the divine to flow through us. This is what's going to get us through, ahead of the virus and on the other side, and back to some kind of normalcy and inspired living. When we are bonded, we care about how another person feels, and we want to make a difference. Compassion manifests from the desire to help the other find peace, which then increases our own sense of peace and well-being. When we experience true compassion, we become bonded in a way that endures for all time because we feel cherished, we feel loved, we feel accepted. When extending compassion to others, we should then check in every so often with ourselves about what's actually driving us. Ask, what is our motivation? Is our compassion a momentary extension of sympathy, kind of a one-time deal, and then we move on, feeling like, okay, we've done our part, and now we can just go forward? Or on the other hand, do we give of ourselves to another from a point of wanting to help them through a very trying time, an obstacle or a situation, working to help their pain go away, so much so that we actually become more bonded with the other person because of it? Especially at this time of COVID, think about when someone is ill. What does it take to get them through the crisis, and how everybody feels, you, the other individual, going through the process, and what it means to get to the other side? or what it's like to help someone transition from this world into the next with a bond that is so great that even though you're heartbroken, you selflessly help them go. That's actually one of the greatest tragedies that we have right now during this pandemic, because loved ones, some of them are having to move on alone. It is said that a kind gesture can reach a wound that only compassion can heal. We need to reach beyond ourselves to be compassionate, recognize our similarities, recognize our strengths and our weaknesses, empathize a little, put ourselves in the other person's place, and then act accordingly in order to help them. Doing so will then create bonding, which will have long-lasting effects benefiting everybody that's involved. Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi said, "A little bit of light dispels a lot of darkness." We have the power to be that light. We have that light within us. We just need to share it. We have the power to uplift another in a time of despair and truly make a difference. The bonds that tie us, the bonds that guide us toward our salvation, our renewal, and our ultimate happiness are to be found within the divinity that is within us and within the other person. When we reach across, time and space and things that might divide us, to really know one another and to really commit to the caring and the compassion that's necessary to help the other person get through the trying time. And when we do that, we do it together, we become truly bonded for all eternity. Being compassionate, sharing our love with another is the greatest gift that we can give in extreme moments of crisis or otherwise. We are all we've got. There is God for some people in the equation, but for many people, helping with compassion and dignity is actually the universal truth of all spirituality and all being, and it's the key that we have to the kingdom of happiness and glory and true shalom, completion, wholeness, and peace. And in a sense, that's what tomorrow is all about. Malchut in Tiferet. It's the last day of this week of Tiferet, and then we're going to move on to our next week. So tune in tomorrow so that we can wrap up this week and we can go forward. Hope to see you all there. May we all go forward with safety and compassion in our hearts and our souls and be bonded to one another in ways that will last for all time.